Cindy's letting us know we are live, Cindy.
Hey,
I'm sitting here talking with Cyndy Douan. Do you still, it's a Georgia dog gym, right?
I own the Georgia Dog Gym. Yeah, that's one of the things I do. So
One
we're
of
in
the
Rome.
many things that you do. And then she was just giving me lessons about conserving toilet paper because she used to be guilty as a little child of putting it looks like she stuck her hand in a wasp nest. That's what it looks like to me. And then her dad
Grab
said,
it like you hook a fish
"What's that?"
and then roll.
Yeah.
You grab it like you hook the fish. You hook the fish
Yeah.
and then you roll and pull it off. And then that could be enough. So that's the roll method. But that's a very inefficient method.
Especially nowadays. Nowadays,
Yeah.
we suggest the Army method. Her dad was in the Army,
Army
and
Reserves method. Yes. Yes.
and
You can count to three. You can do it. You count to three.
I can count to three. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so it's 3 sheets. 1, 2, 3, and you tear it off at 3. All right, and you lay it flat, and you lay one end over and the other end over, and then you have the square. That's 3 ply. My dad says that's plenty enough to clean yourself because you can take the first pass with the whole one, and then flop it over in half and take the second pass over the half. Army Reserves. Very long time ago. I don't know if they will train their soldiers anymore, but perhaps they do.
But still good advice nowadays. Let me shut off my little.
I'm all about good advice.
Ooh, I just got a notification that Bow Wow Bill is live right now. So maybe right now is when a lot of people will be joining us. So I'm going to share this, and then while I do this, I'm going to share it to Dogs Chatting and Triple R in my personal page. And then while I do that, do you want to give everybody a little quick bio about what your deal is, what you do, and where you're at, and how long you've been doing it? And yeah, I think that's it.
How many words? How many words do you need, Bill?
85. No, just kidding.
85. Wow, I'm about to get creative with that. So you're doing a share-a-thon, and I'm introducing, correct?
That is correct.
Very good. So I am Cyndy Douan, and a lot of people are not real good about pronouncing the name because it has 3 vowels in the middle. Douan. So that's kind of hard, but the easy way to remember it, if you all know the band Duran Duran, it's pronounced just like Duran Duran, except if you had a lisp.
Duran.
Duran. Yeah? Yeah.
Or if you're a little drunk, little like.
Yeah, so well about that, but it dates me. It certainly dates me, and my that was my nickname in college, Douan Douan.
Douan Douan, I love it.
So I'm a little dated. Yeah, so Cyndy Douan. I live in Rome, Georgia, which I'm an hour south of Chattanooga, and in 20 minutes I can gain an hour because I'm only 20 minutes away from the Alabama line. So we're way up here in northwest Georgia. However, I'm not in the mountains. Rome is a valley, but we're at the foot of the Appalachian Mountains.
Okay.
Yeah. I've lived here since we moved here in 1997, and we moved in 1997 out of a need for me to have more space. I had been training dogs for about 7 years at that point, and I was also keeping some of the dogs while the owners would go out of town. The training was private in-home training.
Okay.
And we had a Thanksgiving at the house where we had my parents and our 3 dogs and like 6 more dogs, and it was pretty chaotic. So we decided to find a place that had some property. So we moved up here, got 12 acres. We built a kennel. It was a 10-run indoor-outdoor kennel so that I could, board the dogs who were my training clients' dogs. And so I could move out into a little bit more of board and train. And that's why we moved. And we've been here ever since. And, while I can say that I love Georgia and and I love the variety of things there are to do here, and the dog sports community here is huge. Um, it's the whole you can't pick your neighbor, so kind of that thing goes on. But on the whole, it's good. Georgia's good, and so we built a 10-run boarding kennel here at the house, and it was booking before we finished construction even, and that lasted me for about 10 years. And I started teaching classes here on site. I have a riding arena down at the bottom of the pasture that's lighted. So we were teaching classes there for a while, and then things just got a little too crazy with the advent of MapQuest and people knowing where you live. People were just showing up, and I had a really nice elderly couple of friends came up the evening of my 40th birthday party. And my business was Kingston Kennels here, so they drove up and rolled the window down and, is this Kingston Kennels? Can we have a tour? And I said, well, if it weren't my 40th birthday party, maybe you could. So we ran out of privacy, which is a thing that we like. And I had my eye on a building that's just down the road. It's a 12,000 square foot warehouse, and I had been watching it, and it was going in and out of hands with businesses that weren't sustained there. So we were able to buy that. And so in 2006, I opened the Georgia Dog Gym, and then it was at that point that I hired staff and started to have staff to help me and to answer phone calls for me, and it's just grown from there. So I have staff, and I have a part-time trainer and a full-time trainer that help me now. And and now I find that was 2006. What was that? 14 years ago. Yeah. So now I find that working more on my business than in my business,
okay.
Which gives me time to follow passions and do other things that I enjoy to do, and not have me tied to a place where I have to go in and open up the door every day and stay all day and be there. So I've got the freedom and ability to travel and go do things and not have to be at my business every day. I have really a super good group of people that help me.
Makes all the difference, huh?
It sure does. It sure does.
Have you always been into collies?
No, Bill. There was a time that I would have told you that there was no amount of money in the world that you could pay me to own a border collie.
Really? That's where I'm at, man. That's where I've been for. Is
that where you're at? You would never even consider it, would you?
No. Nope. No, I guess no, I wouldn't.
No, dig my heels in. Never gonna do it. It's just too crazy of a thing. But
oh, my Georgia peach! Look, George Cockerell watching.
Oh, my sweet friend. I love you, George. I miss you.
George is amazing. If you guys haven't watched the interview I did with George, check it out. It's in the archives here in the videos section on my Bow Wow Bill page, and he's one of the OGs. One of the yeah, he's a great guy too. Pat says hello.
Pat Richter.
Yep.
Hey, I hope you're doing good. It's good to see you here. So anyway, we're talking dogs. No, I would have never. You could have not made me. You couldn't have forced me to own a border collie way back when. But and way back when I was just wet behind the ears and trying to figure out what all this was. I hated hyper dogs.
Okay.
I dreaded it. I hated it. I didn't. If you brought me one that was bouncing off the walls, from the get-go, I did not want to deal with it. I just hated it. Couldn't do it. And now those are my favorite ones, Bill.
Mine too.
I look at them and see all the potential in the world for so many things that are fun, and trying to convince these people, let's do a little of this, let's do a little of that.
Yeah.
Your dog's going to love it, and
Your dog's not bad. Your dog is creative. Your dog is a go-getter. Right. Your dog is, whatever I gotta tell people,
Yeah. So my first dog as an adult was a Kuvas.
Wow. Okay.
Do I look like that, Bill?
No, not at all.
Yeah. It was my very first dog as an adult, and it, until I got the hang of it, it was a pretty wild ride.
Yeah, those are big dogs too, man.
Yeah, they're big dogs. They're big, serious dogs.
Yeah.
Very serious dogs. And this one, the parents were imported from Hungary straight off the sheep fields. So he didn't even have any generations as like a tame conformation dog.
My goodness. Well, I'm going to share my screen. I can share a screen here with to show the people that are watching right now what a Kuvas looks like. And,
cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to do that really quick here and show it in the screen. Here's the Kuvas from, this is just AKC, but we'll see. So this is what this makes it look like a yellow lab. Let me show it in next to somebody. Yeah, just so you can see.
Yeah, put my glasses on so I can see. So,
almost looks like a lab with the Pyrenees type of thing.
But scroll up, Bill. Scroll up, because there's one with kind of a pointy. Okay, the third one, the one in the middle.
Right here.
Yeah, do you see how his ear set is?
Yes.
It's very different from the one down here on the bottom right. But you see how the ear set and the head is? Yeah. I mean, granted, those are conformation Kuvas, and the real working kind, there is kind of a split in the breed. So the real working kind are their face is a lot more streamlined, and they don't have, of course, they don't have that much coat.
Really?
Yeah, they don't have as much as what that conformation one does. They don't have as much coat. It's kind of the consistency of like a Newfoundland or a Landseer. That's
okay. Are they droolers at all?
Are they what?
Droolers?
No, they're dry. They're dry mouth. Yeah.
That's why I don't have a Newfie. I would love them if they weren't so drooly,
Yeah, if I have to carry around a towel, yeah, I don't want it. No, and especially like when you board a bloodhound and you fix him a bucket of water and that it's a slime drool but it's string. It's like gel. And what's really horrible is whenever they decide to shake and the string comes off. And we were cleaning strings off the ceiling one time when we had a regular one.
Exactly, man. And if you own one of those dogs, just think that So
you've got my flank right there.
Yeah. So, you got a little message about the COVID.
Yeah, I got a message about the COVID.
Yeah.
So I'm just encouraging you to call.
We've heard that here we're at a stay-in-place order in Washington, but we are pet care services are essential services, and so we can help. We can help the clients, and you have somebody who you're helping that has been afflicted by this, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It touches people. I mean, we haven't seen the end of this, folks, and just kind of stay put. And we did a little protocols with Valerie about infection control protocols at your facility, and definitely has some tips. But
yeah, I'm really lucky that one of my employees is also a registered nurse.
Oh, cool. Is this Hank here? Who is this?
That's Flank Sinatra.
Oh, Flank. I mean, not Hank. Flank Sinatra.
Hey, Flank.
How old is Flank now?
Flake's getting ready to have a birthday. He's going to be 8 years old on the 7th of next month.
Okay.
So he's not a kid anymore. That's my Dawson. That's a Flank son. He's a superstar.
Who let the dogs out?
Yeah, I can. No sound. It's got the who let the dogs out, but here you got the ducks. Oh, you start with ducks,
Yeah.
huh?
That's 7.
Okay, you're dock diving. That is a whole other aspect of Cyndy. And
this was kind of a promo video that we did for when we did the baseball game. We did some demos at the baseball game here, and that went up on the Jumbotron.
Cool.
Yeah, that's Flank. That's Flank doing fly ball.
Yeah, fly ball's amazing too.
Oh, what a rush!
You got those braces on his flanks.
Yeah, those are skid boots to keep them from running their back the carpal pads off.
Wow.
That's Flank doing 30 weaves up and back. He loves weave poles, man.
It's his thing.
We try to get an audition for Incredible Dog Challenge for 30 up and back, and we just didn't get in.
Good job, buddy. Training helps me understand you. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Helps me. I'm writing that down. How long did you? So, what got you into dock diving?
My oldest border collie Riff, he always loved to swim, and if he was going off the side of anything, he was going to jump up in the air before he landed. And I had heard about dock diving, but we didn't have access to any of it here for the longest time. And I think until Flank turned 7 years old, and then a pool was built here about an hour away from me, and I took Riff to the dock diving class, and after the third class, he had jumped 25 feet, and the teacher told me that I needed to go to Asheville and compete. After so, how do you beat that? And so we went up and entered at Asheville, and we won. So it kind of started something. And so, my border collies all are fanatics about the water. They love to swim, and they love to jump. This is my little 7 dog.
Look at him going all day long.
Yeah. So the pool is swimming is great exercise for a dog. Even a dog that has some physical problems, it's good exercise. So, and it's non-impact. So it's a lot easier for me to exercise my dogs at the pool than it is other places where sometimes they're moving too fast or doing things that could potentially injure them.
Yeah, no kidding.
When if they're in the water and swimming, that's a whole lot safer for them. It's non-impact, much safer than trying to do frisbee disc. So it's and the dogs just they just love it. And I just found that it was also a good pressure release valve for some of the other types of training that we were doing. Sheep herding training requires a lot of law and order and a lot of precision and a lot of serious, sober working time. And sometimes the dog feels lots of pressure during that type of training. And then too, to do agility well these days, as tight and technical as it's become, when you step to the line, the next 30 seconds can be filled with pressure and that need to make split-second decisions and the dog to respond to split-second signals, so that you can get the course right, so that you can progress along. So some of the things that I do with my dogs is requires them to be fairly sober and serious and attentive and very reliable and that. And dock diving is a little more of a wild ride, and a way to kind of blow off steam and build teamwork and let them know that I might be their boss, but I'm not always giving them a hard time. I'm not always difficult to live with, and I not always ask for the most precise thing you can give me. So I feel like it's a relationship builder.
Well, it's got to feel good too. Just like when we go swimming on a hot day, you're down in the south, and being able to jump in that pool and swimming around, and just being able to full on, to without any holding back, be able to just go forth and release all that you have, without the fear of getting hurt. I've had dogs that have broken all their teeth running into a tree. There's so many things that can happen in a split second that basically you're done. A CCL tear, there's lots of things. That would be the only thing I would worry about, would just be that CCL running and jumping. That would be the only thing I can really think of.
I find it seems like the most common issue I see with dock diving is people who run into psoas strains, psoas strains.
On their dog, really?
And
from jumping.
But really, also you got to remember that if you're doing conditioning, if you're conditioning the dog, and the dog is well conditioned, he's not going to succumb to those kind of injuries as much as he would if you're just kind of weekend warrioring it. Right. You load up and go dock diving, but the whole other time your dog doesn't do anything but lay on the couch.
Right.
If they're not well conditioned, those things can happen.
Just like any other athlete, you have to take protocols and things to compensate, because you are redlining it, and so there's certain things that you have to do, stretches, and there's that guy David, what was his name? Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins, who's like this ultra marathon runner and stuff like that, and that's one of his things that has helped him later on in life, is the stretching every night. And they have psoas troubles as well, and sciatica. So many things go wrong as we get older too, and that's it. Like, dogs get older, their bodies break down just like we do. People don't think to warm up and stretch a little bit before competing. And Matthew Bone says that he's a big fan of you and the monochrome crew, and that's what you call your dogs, right? The monochrome.
The monochromes. They're well. I'm kind of a little bit off my color theme these days, but for many years, my dogs were only black and whites.
Are they have more colors in them now?
Well, now I have 2 blue merles.
Oh.
I have a bi-blue merle and a tri-blue merle now. So I'm kind of going off the reservation a little bit, because for the longest time I was attracted to the black and whites and not so much to any other colors, not the tris or the
you like
or
what
the
you like.
or the sables. I like that traditional look, and I like a smooth coat. And I prefer straight up prick ears, but sometimes you just take what you can get if everything else is good.
I love pointy ears, man. Little pointy ears, like my little dog, that are just like like.
Oh, I like that.
Fruit bats.
I like that. There are folks who feel like that border collies can work according to the way that they look, which is interesting. Like a phenotype suggests a way that the dog works, whether the dog is softer or harder, or whether the dog would make a good cow dog, or whether the dog is too hard for sheep. They say that the smooth coat prick-eared dogs are oftentimes too hard for sheep and make better cattle dogs.
Okay.
Have you heard? Oh yeah.
I mean, there's all these little wives' tales and stuff that are in dog training, and everybody has even these little pockets of it, in these little corners of the world, that we had Australian Shepherds, and these cattle dogs were what I grew up with mostly when I raised cows in Richfield, Idaho, and to watch these dogs work, they were no joke, man. Like, you try to pet them, and they're like, screw you, dude. They're like, up yours.
That's right. Yeah,
Don't freaking
a
pet
cow
me.
dog is a serious dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's how I like them, I guess. They're kind of anti-authoritarian like me, you know. Like, screw you, buddy. Who do you think you are? You know, speaking of which, I got my little
I find that people do tend to people sometimes tend to pick dogs according to their personality. But I tell you, when I feel like I've become more like a border collie over my life. Like I didn't pick them from my personality, but now that they're here, I've become much more like a border collie.
Okay. I associate you with border collies. I think of border collies. I think of you immediately. In fact, I've had people that I've reached out and asked, if you had any litters. And then I also suggested off your video of the litter for the litter, instead of letting these whelping pads and to have a box where they can go to the bathroom.
The house training litter. Yeah. Isn't that awesome?
Night and day. It is the bee's knees,
Wow.
It keeps the place very clean.
I was reluctant to try it, but now I'll never go back to pads. I'll never go back to any other paper type system.
Yeah, it's too dirty. So they use alfalfa pellets.
Ooh, maybe I'll try that next time. I'll bet that smells really good once it gets rolling.
Yeah, it doesn't smell bad at all.
Yeah.
We're talking about instead of letting the puppies just go anywhere, to have them like a litter box, like a cat, and they just tend to go there automatically. And it keeps the whelping box very clean, and mama very happy, and so.
And me very happy.
What made you decide to start breeding them?
I have a really good relationship with the person that produced Riff, my first border collie. I have a really good relationship with her, and she owns a sheep farm. Okay. And she lives about 2 hours away. A super nice lady. And she kept one of the puppies off of Riff's litter, and it was a female, named her Cat, like not dog cat, but Cat, the heavy equipment cat.
Oh, okay.
And she really, it was one of her best working dogs that she ever had. And so she continued the line a bit. She had another, she bred again, Riff's parents, and produced a second litter, and she kept a dog from that. His name was Train. And he, when he was eligible for the cattle dog nursery finals, he ended up making it to the finals and finishing number 7, which, when they do the cutoffs and everything, finishing number 7 at the cattle dog finals is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And so he was very good. So she was really impressed with the working ability of the line, except we were having trouble with people not breeding them. And she didn't want to breed Cat because she was afraid that something would happen to her having puppies. And as it turned out, Cat ended up getting accidentally bred and did die while she was whelping, which was tremendously sad. So in a discussion with Carol-Ann, just that I wanted to continue the line for all the good that they had in them. I wanted to continue. Super healthy, super athletic, great for dog sports, great jumpers, great build, great stamina. They're not heat intolerant, which can be a problem. Okay. And they're versatile. So I've done, with this line of dog, I can go train and do a herding competition, and then I can go dock diving or go do agility or whatever else. So we've got versatility there, and tremendous health. I mean, their DNA health testing is right on, clear for everything.
Awesome.
So we really want to try to preserve it, and so there are 3 of us that are working hard to do that. Myself and Carol Ann Bailey and Brian Cash, and they're great friends of mine, and so we all appreciate what we have and enjoy sharing it with people, and we've shared it with people from around the world. We have dogs living around the world now.
Yeah, well, and let this go to show you, whoever's watching that might have disparaging things to say about a breeder, know that it's not just willy-nilly breeding that people, that reputable breeders are doing. They're actually taking into account the lineage of these dogs, and that's the goal of the breeding, is to keep these lines alive, because they're such freaking excellent dogs, both in temperament-wise, behavior and health-wise, and just how solid they are in many different situations. I have some friends, especially that are in the rescue world, that are always like, don't shop, adopt, and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but if you don't find what you are looking for, then find somebody like Cyndy, or somebody that knows what they're doing and will produce an amazing dog for the situation that they're going into.
Yeah. I'm certainly not producing pets here. That doesn't generally go well. I'll admit that right now. Yeah, no, we're not producing pets here. But Bill, the only dogs that I have had who weren't rescues were these border collies and that Kuvas. But between the time I had the Kuvas and the time that I bought the first border collie, I've had everything else was homeless when I got it.
My dogs, half of them are rescued. No, 5 of them. 5. Dude, I got 8 dogs right now.
Okay, so we're going to change the subject. We're not going on there.
How many you got? How many you got?
Next question, Bill.
First step is submitting when you got a problem,
So they're like potato chips.
Yeah, just one, man.
Yeah, but I have one that I don't really feel like I can officially count, because he'll be 18 in 6 weeks. So you don't count that one. So that doesn't count.
14, a 15, and a 16-year-old. So.
Yeah, and so then I have one who's staying with Brian right now, Brian Cash, and she's being handled by him, and she's already qualified for the Canadian Sheepdog Finals, Canadian Nationals, and the United States Border Collie Association National Finals. And so she's been burning it up with Brian. So, but she's a Brian. So do you count that? I don't know.
No,
and then
you don't.
I've got an Alan Owen Roy's bitch, who's in Texas right now. And she's out there. She was bred to Flank's brother a couple months ago, and she's got puppies on the ground. So I leased her so that because the lady who owns Tex, she has done some breeding too. Same situation, genetically clean, got the confirmation, got hips, elbows, everything.
Cool.
But the problem that she's having with her dog that's Flank litter mate was that the litters seem to only produce females. Huh. And she wanted some males. So, but Min has produced her 3 boys. I think they're 15 days old today. So she's over the moon.
Awesome.
So yeah, that just, so can I really count those 3?
No. You're good.
Okay. So now I have 7 border collies.
Okay, good. You're less than me.
Yes.
You still got a few more to get,
Well, yeah.
That's what I was telling Dawn. I'm like, dude, we're already used to 8. What's 10?
Exactly. It's just 2 more food bowls. It's really nothing. But I have dogs at different stages. I have 2 of my dogs, Rook and 7, they turned 10 this year, so they're kind of going into that retirement mode. They do farm chores and hang out and play, and basically I call 7 Mr. Invisible, because you don't know where he's at until it's time to be a certain place, and then he's already there and you don't have to call him. So it's really nice to have that.
That's a border
but
collie
yeah.
for you.
So really, my core group of, I think I've got like the core group of 5 that I'm still working hard, working and training and entering and doing things with.
Cool. Yeah, I think I got 5 that I'm about the same. One that I've rescued that I'm still on the fence on. She needs just an active home. She's a cattle dog, Australian Shepherd cross with a bite history. Came from, I think, Wyoming or something. I got her from the rescue, and they just couldn't handle her shenanigans. And she's a heck of a dog, but she just likes to bite people sometimes. That she.
Hey, that's
she likes to bite hands and feet, and I did dog
kind of part of it.
Yeah, it's kind of part of like being a controlling and transmuting this excitement, and just always, I don't know what she dealt with before, as far as like never being corrected or anything like that, like knock that shit off,
True. Yeah. So. Yeah. And these kind of dogs, they develop their pattern. They can become pattern like that.
And they get locked into it, man. Once they're queued up, once a new person's and she's like, oh, and I'm like, no, like knock that crap off right now.
Knock it out.
But
what I tell people that have these high drive dogs, these Aussies and cow dogs and border collies, one of the most helpful things that you could ever do is take that dog to herding lessons. This is one of the most helpful things that you can do, because I feel like it really helps the dog understand its own mind. And through the course of convincing the dog that you can't kill it, you got to make it move, but you can't kill it, you get a whole lot of respect and self-control. You get that off switch. You can do it, but you got to do it the way I want you to do it, and you got to stop doing it when I tell you to.
Yeah, I can see her doing that. I don't know with this dog, man. She's just a weird dog,
Yeah.
But I'm anxious to see. Do you always give them ducks first, or do you?
I never give them ducks first, Bill. That would be like a bloodbath.
Yeah. I'll be calling you up.
Sometimes with some of the puppies, before they're old enough to go to their homes, which is before 8 weeks old, I might let one out and I let it run around the X pen the ducks are in to take its temperature. But if I don't think that's going to go so well, I don't turn them loose with a duck. But if they seem like they have enough respect that they're not going to eat the duck, then I'll do it. But I never start border collies on ducks. But Australian Shepherds, a lot of times they get started on ducks, because a lot of times they're kind of soft to start. And you bring them on gently, and you want to stimulate their prey drive, and the ducks and the flapping and the quacking and the movement is sometimes more helpful to stimulate their drive than a sheep would be.
Interesting, I could see that.
Yeah. So when I go to my friend, I go to work sheep a lot of times, and ducks too a lot of times, up my friend in Calhoun with the Kusawati Aussies. That's a mouthful. Kusawati Aussies, which are working line Aussies. And they primarily, seems like they primarily will start a dog on ducks, and the ducks are really super safe when they start them, because the Aussie is it's like they don't see anything at all out there for a while. Maybe they're a little intimidated and want to pretend like they don't see it. But then once you get enough flapping and stirring around going, then they start showing interest, and you can start working on them a little bit. But you kind of have to be careful not to overwhelm an Aussie with pressure when you first start it, or it'll quit and it won't keep herding. It'll just shut. Doesn't take a lot to shut it at first. Now, once an Aussie gets into it and gets rolling, and builds confidence, then it can be a different story. But no, I always like to start my border collies on sheep, and I might give them exposures early on just to see what they do with some real dog broke sheep. But I don't give them much exposure until about 8 months, and then I might put them in every other week for 3 minutes or so if I like it. If it's too much of a rodeo, when I put the dog in and they're just, busting up and grabbing and it's a shit show, then I usually wait until those guys are more like 11 months to a year, sometimes 14 months to start them, just because it's going to require an amount of pressure to get them to understand that, we're not attacking sheep, we're moving them. What do you got here?
I just found this Kosowati Aussies. I Googled them and I found their page, and then I just this at the stockyard. So what's going on here?
Yeah, so that is probably ASCA Nationals, Australian Shepherd Club of America Nationals, and the dude there that's Tony Paget, and that's a good herding dog of his. So this is a herding course. So he's taken the sheep out of the take pen, and this is the H-shaped funnel that you run them through. And now that he's got them out of the funnel, he's going to take them to the looks like he's going to, I don't know what, it's just the backward. Yeah, he's taking them to the right panel in the corner of the arena. He just goes all the way down to the corner. He's going to take him in the right panel. And this is an Aussie herding sheep. With the ASCA stock dog trials, their Aussies are required to herd ducks, sheep, and cattle.
How about that?
On these horses, yeah. So they've got to be versatile. They can't just herd one species. They've got to be able to do all three.
And then that dog has a lot of independence there. So now they're taking them around this other way, it looks like.
We're going around the panel, heading. This is a cross drive, so they're going to head to the left panel and take the sheep through the left panel.
And what is the guy doing this whole time? Is he whistling or anything to this dog, or how is he?
The dog commands. He's telling the dog what to do. So he's telling the dog to go to the left or go to the right or stand still or walk up on the sheep. So a flanking command would be come by or away to me.
And flanking means go to the side of the sheep, go to the side of the herd, or.
So if you think about the sheep like we're having a little bit of train wreck getting back in the funnel. That's okay. They tried to run out to the exhaust was all. So he's got them gathered back up. So flanking, if you think of sheep sitting inside of a big circle, the dog flanks when he goes around the perimeter of that circle to make the animals move.
Okay.
So if he goes around the sheep, so like right now I would tell him come by, which means go around them clockwise. See how he went clockwise around them? That's come by.
Okay.
All right. So if he went counterclockwise, that command would be away to me. And so they're taking off again for the exhaust. So they're trying to control. So that was a come by, and now we got it in a way because he's got to take them back to the pen under control. They can't just be running crazy. He's doing a pretty decent job. So he's got to take them back and put them up to finish the course. And there they go. So that's an ASCA arena trial, Australian Shepherd Club of America. And so ASCA does arena trials, and they do ranch trials and farm trials, which are simulations of real world dog work, sorting stock, moving from pen to pen, putting them in a horse trailer or a stock trailer, taking them out of a stock trailer, taking them out in the pasture and bringing them back. So those are the types of stock trials that ASCA offers. And they're really fun. I've done mainly arena trials with ASCA and have had a lot of fun. And then last year I helped work a farm trial. It was a farm trial. I took Brooke and Seven out there, and we were catching sheep and setting them up, setting up the take pens and stuff and running the exhaust. So my dog's had a good time helping with the trial. So I like to help with it too when I can, because it gives the dogs good experience.
Yeah, it's what they were bred to do. you know, and that's the thing, is that it's striking a primal drive. It's striking, you know, what they're put on this earth for, you know. Here, I'm going to share this here.
So do you know, Bill, that 2 generations away from working sheep and border collies don't have eye anymore?
Say that again.
2 generations away from working sheep and border collies lose their eye.
Like they don't do it. They won't.
The border collie stare.
Yeah.
If the grandma and the mom is not worked on sheep, both of them, the puppies of those offspring will lose the border collie stare. They lose their part of the way that the dogs work is genetic, and a lot of times different lines work different types of things differently. Like the rift line in open field competitions, they tend to be better shedders than out there outrun. So it's just kind of that can be dependent on the line and how it's bred, and they say also that outruns are genetic, and that a dog that's inherited that genetically, it shouldn't need to be trained mechanically. It's a nice smooth pear shape when they run out to gather the stock. So it's really a pretty interesting combination that the dog has. Oh, this is Dueling Dogs. Yeah, so yeah, play this. This is fun.
Well, I love that negative reinforcement right there. Just like pull. You know, explain what you're doing here, Cyndy.
Okay, so this is called Dueling Dogs. And so this is side-by-side drag racing. Basically, you're racing against a dog down the dock and into the water, and there's a divider in the water. And so you're head-to-head racing the dog. There are 2 bumpers suspended at the end of the pool, one for each dog. And so it's a race to see who grabs their bumper first. So the start lights are operated by laser, a lot like fly ball. So you get a reaction time. The laser goes live, and then the dogs are off. So so that was at the Dueling Dogs World Championships. I believe that was a year before last. Flank finished in the top 10 at that.
Cool. Look at you.
Yeah.
Proud mama.
It was great.
Let's see
it
what
was
else
a lot of fun.
you find here. So we have Savannah. I see that you did some paintings with your clients. Oh, a fly ball. I want to see a fly ball run. Well, maybe I'll do a better one than this one. But fly balls, that is, you know, I've heard fly ball called the ultimate dog disobedience. Like they're gonna go and just like get as crazy as possible. I guess this will be it.
So I mean, there's a lot of noise that goes on in fly ball. Yeah. So yeah, fly ball is a team of 4 head-to-head racing against another team. And so the start line also on it is laser and electronic.
And they don't ever run into each other or anything, huh?
Split times on each dog. So you get a split time on it. So here's the thing, Howard. I mean, Howard, that's Howard in the middle of the screen. So here's the thing, Bill. You got 8 dogs on the mat.
Yep.
None of them are on leash. They're all dumping adrenaline as hard as they can. You set them loose.
Cool. It just gives my heart joy watching this stuff. You know?
You set them loose and they're running as fast as they can. They have to not only pass each other without having a problem, they also have to run and do that behavior with another team right across from them of all dogs they don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4. And then we can't see the 4 over here, but they're all just waiting here.
Yeah, so there's 8 dogs out there. shitting their pants for a ball.
Yeah.
And when you turn them loose, there's no leash. And I'm going to tell you, it takes a little bit of training.
Yeah.
They're excited, and there's a lot of adrenaline that dumps, and there's a lot of barking that happens. But basically, we want the dogs to be jacked up, and because we want them to run as fast as they can. So yeah, I mean, it is that way. But I'm going to tell you, it is one of the best adrenaline rushes you'll ever experience your entire life, Bill. And really, it's not. You're training a rote behavior that becomes muscle memory for the dog. So you're training muscle memory, but to do well in fly ball, you have to have good.
Super elite jumper, again jumping over 25 feet usually.
There we go. Let's see.
Okay.
Wow, and I think he got that smash. We will be checking this dog for steroids after this wave.
It was 4 years ago.
Okay.
You're throwing the bumper, it looks like.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's a throw of the bumper. That's a big one.
Look at these. Look at this meat. This is the measurements on the side here of the pool, right here. And so watch where he lands. About 28, 29, right over here. I don't know.
Between 28 and 29, yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. Monster jumping. Just monster jumping.
Who is this, Flank?
Is there a caption that tells you?
Posted by Georgia Dog Gym. Hold on, I can find out.
Because I'm just out of been so many of these events that just I'm lost on.
Knox. This is Knox.
Knox.
Border
Okay.
of Brianna and Norton.
Yeah, that's a Riff son. That's Flank's brother. Huge jumper. I mean, just tremendous huge jumper. I think that he went 29 plus, I think was his personal best at his peak. Yeah. Crazy big. He was a really big tricolor border collie. Really big and really good. Good jumper.
And all of these, the fly ball, the dock diving, the herding, they're their own little worlds too.
As far as people go?
Well, it's just as far as like it's a full-on competition. It's a full-on sport. It's its own its its own enclosed, like they're separate worlds, like separate ratings, separate dogs that just take to it. And just like Cyndy was saying, what got her into it is this natural talent that her dog possessed. And I can't even imagine the people that are finding themselves in these competitions and be like, asking them if they thought of themselves doing this like a year or two ago, and they're like probably like, no, and they're probably all in now,
Yeah, I find interesting that
you're making me remember Donald McCaig.
Oh, what a darling person.
Was he? Yeah, there's some real gems in the dog industry, man.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah,
Sunday, Wet Dog Winter Nationals. What?
What are we reading?
Sunday, Wet Dog Winter Nationals. That's what George Cockrell just put. You got to get the glasses out.
Yeah, I'm at that age. I hate it.
Yeah.
Just blind without. Great, never. Okay. Yeah.
But it goes to show you, the sky's the limit.
Just looking at the comments, everyone wanted a Riff baby. Yes, they sure did. They were very popular. Yeah. So it's really interesting. The thing I noticed about most fly ball people is they tend to be introverts.
Okay.
And that the thing that really set fly ball apart for me from all of the other sports is that it's a team sport.
Yes.
And so you got to know how to play nice with other people. And if you're not good at playing nice with other people, and if you're not willing to because sometimes you got to take one for the team. Sometimes you've got a dog that is a very fast dog that they want to put you on the open team, that is a team that's not going to go very fast, but maybe they need another dog on that team, so you got to take one for the team sometimes. So it's that's an interesting group. And then I find a lot of my dock diving friends to be a little more gregarious, a lot more gregarious. They have a really huge big time. And then my agility people, they kind of ran the gamut. So we'll have some real social people, and then we'll have some folks that are just kind of to themselves and doing the thing with the dogs. But it was interesting when I got in flyball. I was interested to know what is the difference between an individual player sport and a team sport with dogs. And yeah, those folks are much more willing to be cooperative, and they seem more introverted by and large.
Well, and that makes a difference too, man. If you are super competitive and you're not going to be able to give for the team because of this, the open team can, essentially be faster. You're reeling in a little bit of slack by putting a faster dog in that team. I get it, absolutely. But in doing so, it might knock down that faster dog standings or whatever. And it is very competitive. With the dog world. Here's what George was talking about: the Wiener Dog Winter Nationals.
We want to watch the dog
I guess
show.
she wants to watch the dog show. He wants to watch the drag racing, and so now it's
Winter Nationals!
Wiener Dog Winter Nationals
versus Dogzilla. And here they come, Bob. Brought to you by Miller Lite. If you can combine great taste with
There you go. A little advertisement for Miller Lite too.
Yeah, they got a plug. How funny.
Yeah, they had a Wiener Dog show just recently too.
My very first dog as a child was a Wiener dog.
Really,
Her name was Cyndy. She was a red one. Yeah, she was a red Wiener. But when I'm not as young as some of you people. So the problem as children that we had with our pet dogs or our dogs was that we didn't have heartworm preventive, and so our dogs were not very long lived when I was young because of heartworms.
Yeah, it's bad down there.
So she had a problem and developed congestive heart failure, and she wasn't that old. She may have been 4 or 5.
They're cool little dogs, man.
So
a ginger wiener, somebody was like a ginger wiener, easy there, a red wiener. That's what she was saying, a ginger wiener. Yeah, George or Larry Crone was on here, and he had these guys called
wiener.
Yeah, redhead wiener. He had me
a redheaded wiener.
You could make me blush over here, dude.
What are we doing here on the comments?
Nothing. George posted up the
George
link, but
don't be a dirty bird, George. Don't be dirty.
Wet dog winter nest.
Don't embarrass us.
Yeah, and you're over there with those guys too. No, you're down south. I'm thinking.
Oh, I'm not with those guys.
Good.
That's that's not south. Not to me. So Bill, if there were anything that you would ask me about, what would it be?
I would be, how is life on the road with your dogs, and how do you have a set schedule? I mean, that's what I like to watch you. And you have an RV too, right?
Yeah.
So you take your dogs on when you go out on the dock diving circuit and stuff, that you take them in your RV and.
Well, it varies. Sometimes we just load up in just a regular vehicle, and go, and then sometimes we go in the RV. It's just kind of depending on what dog event that it is. Some of the places. a lot of the dock diving venues, there's nowhere to park an RV. And then
okay.
some more of them, you could park it. You would need a dry camp. So I have dry camp some, and I have what is that? The Class C, the one that you drive, the motorhome that you drive.
Uh-huh.
So when I get to where I'm going, that is my vehicle. So it makes it kind of hard to camp at a campground and then go to a dog event unless I drug a second vehicle.
Yeah.
So it's just all according to where I'm going. A lot of the agility venues are at places where there are actual RV hookups and showers, and the different fairgrounds they'll have those, or at these. Do you guys have agribition centers in California and Washington? Yeah, so they have a lot of them in Alabama. It's called an agribition center, and it looks like a big covered arena with a dirt floor that they do livestock auctions in, and like you saw with the Australian Shepherd herding.
Yeah.
They'll do herding events or rodeos or something. So there are bleachers. It's a big arena, so there's bleachers and then there's dirt, a dirt floor. So and they have good RV hookups and things. But I haven't done as much RV traveling lately as I have been just loading everybody up in the truck. And a lot of times I plan excursions where I crash with friends or get a VRBO or something like that.
Airbnb.
And then sometimes, Airbnb or VRBO. And then there are lots and lots of events just in this North Georgia area, Atlanta metro area, all around. Probably I could go to a dog event every single weekend and still have conflicts and never leave North Georgia.
No kidding.
The dog sport is just huge here. Just huge.
Huh.
Yep. Dock diving, herding, nose work is big here. Nose work
It's
trials.
big here. Search and rescue is huge here.
A lot of agility, a lot of disc, a lot of frisbee disc.
Okay.
Some fly ball. The barn hunt is taken off, and it's big here. And then you've got your obedience and rally and
agility.
There's Schützen Club agility.
Yeah.
It's endless. There are field retriever trials here. Any weekend you would have dog events to choose from if you lived here, and you would not have to leave the state.
Do you ever do the barn hunt?
I have friends who've done it and really enjoyed it. And I went to a little see if your dog likes it, and of course I thought that was really awesome.
Did they? They loved it.
They absolutely loved it. My dogs love crittering.
Okay.
They really love crittering. And I had Flank's brother. At the time, I had Flank's brother for a while before I placed him in a herding home. And he still gets to do a little barn hunt occasionally. But he was such a good barn hunter. We were going to have to get him a ride to nationals there for a while. He was doing so well that he could have gone to the nationals for barn hunt. I think he got the whatever big barn hunt title, but he loved hunting rats.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think that one's it's been taken off lately. I don't know what the...
Yeah, barn hunt, there's a huge contingent of nosework people here. The nosework here, the NASCW folks. And, I'm going to tell you, Bill, I've got a full-time trainer who teaches the nosework from start to competition, and she's got a really nice group of people who go and compete in nosework. And I tell you, Bill, these are people who I never dreamed you could get them to leave their house with their dog. Never in a million years.
Oh, yeah.
Just quiet, assuming, shy people. shy people who don't, they don't talk a lot, they get embarrassed real easy. These people are going to nose work trials and killing it. But they don't have to interact, because when you go, they want you just
very
to sit
individual, right?
until it's your turn.
Yep.
So I think part of what they like is that they're not forced to interact with people.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's also, what do you tell a lot of trainers and a lot of people just getting into the dog industry or watching this? And there's one question that I try to ask everybody that I talk to. What do you tell people that are getting in the dog industry that say that they're getting in because they don't like people? They want to work with dogs, but they don't like people.
No. Go get a job at a horse barn and shovel stalls or something. No.
Kennel tech or something like that.
No. You're not doing anybody any favors if you don't like people. No, if you don't like them, then you need to go to some sort of retreat or something that teaches you how to like them, and you need to make a firm commitment that you're really going to give it your best shot, and that you're going to learn that people are great, people are wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. No, if you don't like people, just please, for the sake of our profession, just go the hell on. Calls or something. Go join the Peace Corps or sail a ship or something you can do by yourself, because this is, we don't need that in our profession. And I find a lot of times that's exactly the thing that we end up having to clean up. After somebody goes and they get treated poorly, or their
dog gets treated poorly too.
Failed training class. My dog failed training class, and my trainer didn't like my dog, and my trainer said this and that. Because, okay, so I'm going to tell those people that don't like people, go take your dog. Get your dog out of the house and take your dog and go sign up for a training class and be a student for a while with your dog that you love. You go be a student for a while, and make sure you go be a student of somebody that you're sure doesn't like people. Try that.
And see how it feels.
I don't like it very well.
Yeah.
So, and the best thing, one of the best things you can ever do, Bill, really, is to go learn a new dog thing and have a coach that coaches you, so that you can feel what it feels like to not know what the hell you're doing and try to learn it from somebody that you don't really know, who's trying to show it to you when you don't know what the hell you're doing. Go do that so that you can feel exactly what it feels like when you talk to your students and they come and they're putting themselves out there, they're putting themselves on the line for you, they're reaching out and they're trying to do something they've never done before, and you're trying to show them how to do it. Being coached gave me lots and lots of, and continues to give me a lot of empathy for people who bring dogs who don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. And I've been coached and I've been bounced around and told things about my dogs and my handling that I'll go to the car and cry for a while.
Oh, Cyndy. Who said that shit?
I had a student the other day and they were crying. There's no crying in dog training. Why was she crying? And I'm thinking to myself, I cried. I've cried before. I've cried over what a trainer told me about my dog or about my handling or lack thereof. So I want my students to feel comfortable when they're with me. I want them to feel like it is going to be okay. And I want to try to treat them the way that I want a coach to treat me. Did you
receive any value when you cried?
Can you repeat that? Did I? Did I what?
Did you receive any value from the coaching when you cried? Did you take something away from that? Was there anything that?
Yes, I did. And what I took away from that was that there was something that I needed to be paying a lot better attention to that I wasn't. It was a detail that I wasn't paying attention to and wasn't acknowledging. And it was really frustrating my coach because it wasn't like she hadn't tried to tell me 10 other ways. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah. So
and then finally it just blew up and you were.
So I just kind of like said it, and then I just thought, and then I felt useless. Like I'm never going to get this. I'm never going to get this right. How am I going to do this? This border collie runs like 300 freaking miles an hour, and I'm never going to get this cue right where I need to get it. And I'm always going to flap my hand when I get nervous. And so it's just, so I had a little bit of a, how am I going to do this? And then I said, okay, she's right. And if she could have never told me that, and I would have never known it. And she was right. But it was something I needed to know. But she didn't say it. I didn't cry because she was mean to me. I cried because she told me something I needed to know, but that I was struggling so with how to get it, and just feeling frustrated about that. But it was tremendously helpful. Yeah. But no, if you just don't need to be in the dog training profession if you don't like people, because it's about people.
100%.
It's about people. And, I find that, 9 times out of 10, the dog will do it. You go ahead, take the dog from the person and show the dog how to do it, and that's great, but that just earns you nothing because the dog's going to go home with somebody that doesn't know how that works.
Yep, and that's the rub, man. That's the rub, is how do you transfer not just the knowledge, but to legislate this behavior to somebody that might not be coordinated or, and it is a coaching process. It is a process, but you have to understand and I think at the root of it, care about the relationship that you're building, not just with the person, but by a degree of separation, also the influence that you're having on the animal as well. And you can have it just without that degree of influence because you're right there on the animal, but how do you have that same effect on the animal being separate and being able to coach somebody through that? And there's also books that you can read. There's retreats that Cyndy was saying. There's people that teach this stuff. Like how do you become a better teacher? How do you explain things in a more succinct way? How do you explain things to people that have nothing to do with dogs? Like, and that's where, like, we as communicators and as teachers, that's our job, is to get them to get this kind of abstract activities that we can do with our dogs that kind of translates into reward and further communication, and also steam vents that might stroke a dog's intrinsic desire to do what they are meant to do. Like you were saying about dock diving, how that kind of helps these dogs that might be a little bit neurotic or, they're just working dogs. It's giving them a working dog. It's taking them out of an unemployment situation and giving them something to do that fulfills those needs that's quick. They have to be mindful, exploding. And so they're like, okay, I can do this.
I'm a big believer in dogs having jobs. Dogs need jobs. They need to work. They need to have a job. When they have meaningful work, everything else falls into place. Life makes a whole lot more sense when they have meaningful work. Not just running after the ball 300 times in a day and bringing it back. That's not, I don't consider that meaningful work. But I feel like a dog needs meaningful work. And I also, while I love my dog sports and I've learned so much through dog sports, and there are varying opinions on this, but I've always been a believer that before you launch off on a fun dog sport, your dog needs to know the basics. Your dog needs to be controlled on the leash. Your dog needs to be controlled off the leash.
Mm-hmm.
Before you start launching into dog sports that kind of bring that drive out, and get the dog going. I don't think basic obedience hampers a dog's drive when done properly. And I don't think that, I think it's possible to get some really reliable obedience without hampering a dog's drive.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm a real believer in control. I mean, if you've got a young dog and you put him on that long line and he sees sheep and you take him in the pen, and you can't even get him to lay down, that's a problem.
Yeah, you need a foundation. That's a good foundation to root stuff back into, and that's what we call this basic obedience. We call it foundation work.
That's right. It's your first building blocks to the next thing that you will do. And I think that my entree into dog sports was only after just nearly a decade of getting my basics under my belt, and then feeling like, I want to know something more than he'll sit down, stay calm, go to your place, house training, biting, jumping, behavior problems. Right. And so my launch into dog sports isn't necessarily because I'm all that competitive a person, because I'm really not. It was a way to learn more about dog behavior, learn more about different ways to train dogs, learn more about the dog's point of view, how they see things, to experience coaching when I am a coach, to kind of keep me humble that way. And I feel like that for every dog sport I learn, it's a part of that journey. And I'm learning it's instructive in ways that I'm still learning my craft. I'm still building, learning more, and learning small details of this and that, and learning things about the dog's brain that I don't think you see when it's just he'll sit down, stay calm, go to your place.
It's like figure this out, figure this thing out, do this.
Yeah, and it's been an interesting road. When we do basic training, we see these dogs for a limited period of time, but it's been an interesting road to go on to train up a dog for reliable performance, and then take it in the ring over and over, year after year, and watch, what happens with those trained behaviors over time.
Wow.
I think we tend to think, when we're first doing basic training, we tend to think that there's an end point there. I teach it to you, and then you know it, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. When my obedience friends and my agility friends and my herding friends that, we're famous for walking off the field and going, well, I guess I'm going to have to fix that. I know what my homework is. You'll get one thing really, really good, and then, the wheels fall off of something else. And so I've learned that obedience, yes, it can be reliable. There are things that can be reliable, but to a certain degree, some of those things are not going to be maintained on that continuum for all time. They're not going to be maintained there, and you've got to do a certain amount of working on it to keep it at the place that you want it to be, and also that there are days when you are having a bad day or the dog is having a bad day.
Yeah. And
it might have gone well any other time. It's just, the stars align and the shit show begins. And you just stand back and, watch it happen. But then there are other times that, I might not have worked as hard on my training as I could have, but it is a day where everything's perfect in the world, and we step up to the line, and the connection happens, and it's a real zen feeling to run a dog where the dog is we're just in the moment, and it's like a dance, and that everything is cueing correctly, and you're going through, and no better feeling than that. And and it's one of those. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it happens, it's like crack. You can't wait until the next time that happens again.
You're chasing the dragon.
Yeah.
Chasing the dragon
yeah.
of connecting with your dog in a moment of fulfillment on both of your ends, you know?
Yeah. And there are moments that I'm really thankful for that I'll never forget. They're just little moments, and it's not a moment where there was this huge trophy or a lot of bling. It was a moment of, when I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be nice if we could just do it this way, or wouldn't it be nice if this happened, and then it was the day that happened. It is right here.
Yeah.
Never forget it.
Well, and it's all because you decided to, further your education, but also how do I connect with a dog in a different way? How do I see this dog, or how do I learn more? How do I, mix it up? How do I upkeep this? How do I, there's just the questions are there, and I at the end, it's ideally and for the dog's benefit too.
Yeah, it is for the dog's benefit. I feel like I'm glad I have the kind of dog that I have, so that they're enjoying it too.
So what made you get a collie? When did that happen?
Well, I was running dog agility. I guess it was the early 2000s. I was running dog agility with a golden retriever, a field line golden retriever, a red-coated swamp collie, as George would like to call them. And her name was Jamie, and I was running an Australian Shepherd, a bi-blue merle named Sally, and Sally had like 8 homes before I got her. Somebody had taken her to the vet to get spayed and never picked her up. And, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll just bring her home. I think she's cute. So I brought her home, and once we got her through her, she would just kind of freeze. Like if you wanted her to do something, she would just be like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be doing something, but I don't know what it is. And but no, once I got her out of freeze mode, she turned into a super, super reliable agility dog. Just super steady, cute all the time. But when we moved up into the highest level of agility with USDAA, their times are pretty fast. So when we moved up to the highest level, she was not quite fast enough to make time. She would run clean, but not quite fast enough to make time. And my golden retriever really enjoyed agility. Mostly the jumping. She wasn't real fond of the teeter, and I found that a lot of golden retrievers, if they have a little bit of an off day with a teeter, you have to really work hard on their teeters sometimes. So I was enjoying agility with them. I learned agility with them. My mentor was a gentleman who lived only about an hour away, who had been on the world team several times, and so he was my mentor, and so we were doing really good. He had coached me really well. We were doing really good, but we had got to the point where my Aussie, she tore her collateral ligament. She tore her CCL. I had 4 horses and a pony, and she would put them in the barn at night. She'd make sure they go in the barn, and I think that she just got turned around with my Palomino, and I think that she got kicked, and is what tore her CCL. Huh. So she had one of those surgeries where they run the string around the joint, they put the screw in and run the floss around there. Yeah. I got her that repaired and rehabbed her, and she did agility for a little while longer, but then she was like, nah, she was stutter, step, and jump. So we stopped. And then I was talking to my husband about, what is the next step? And he said, Cyndy, you know what they say in horses, if you want to race, you need a thoroughbred. His exact words. So that in agility is the border collie, and the agility people call that going to the dark side.
Do they really?
So Cyndy went to the dark side, and I bought my first border collie. So it was only because it was because of the agility. I wanted to do agility, and I wanted a fast dog.
Well, you got one, man.
I got one, and then I got a bunch more. I thoroughly enjoy them though, and they keep me happy. They keep me getting up, getting out of bed. They keep me thinking, and we're traveling and we're just having the best time. And I love puppies, and I love the time that I get to spend with little puppies too.
And are you looking for homes? Do they have homes? Do you have a waiting list or anything, or how do people, if they're interested in getting a puppy from you, how do they do that?
So I'm at a point right now, Bill, where I'm selling puppies to people who are either already competing in a dog sport or already competing in sheep herding or have a sheep farm.
Okay.
I'm not selling to people who think they want to do a dog sport anymore, because that hasn't worked out too well for the dogs. Yeah. So if you're experienced and you've been competing and you're successful, we can take a look at it. If you're herding sheep, or if you have a sheep farm or a cattle farm or goats or something need livestock managed, we can look at that. But that is how that's going. I don't have any puppies right now. I haven't decided if I've planned to breed Flank and my imported bitch. But that wouldn't happen until maybe late summer or the fall. And I've got some. I keep a list. I've got some names on the list. The South Koreans are interested in my dogs right now.
Interested.
And they're mostly good people. Yeah. So I've got 3 different South Korean homes who are looking for puppies, which I don't ship over there. When a dog goes across the pond or to Asia, the dog they're required to come pick it up.
Okay.
They're required to come to my house and get it, and then take it with them back home. And so that's the only way that dogs go international if I sell them.
Okay.
They have to come and get it. I had a young man from Beijing. He flew into Atlanta Hartsville a couple of years ago and hired an interpreter and rented a car and drove up here to the farm to get his dog. That's pretty cool.
That's a good good door into so many different relationships the dog world is, man, and so many people that I've met being a dog trainer, and just, and I'm just so thankful for it, because it is pretty cool.
It's really cool. I've enjoyed so many of the people that I've met, and I've enjoyed making friends with my international people. They're a lot of fun, and and sometimes they help me. There's some really good trainers over there, and sometimes they help me, and sometimes I help them with certain things. The Chinese delegation came last year, the international team for the Cynosport games and for the U.S. DDN Frisbee finals. And so they came to my place, and we did a herding seminar for them. And then the next day we went over to the dock, and I did a dock diving seminar with them, and they thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, it just shows you there's so much that you can do with your dog, and there's just about anything. There's a niche out there that will fit you and your dog. You just have to kind of go out there and look and search, and and now that we have the internet, and now even message Cyndy. If you see her on Facebook or something and you're interested in getting involved in this stuff, I'm sure that she will won't charge you too much money to give you advice. But no, just kidding.
Well, sometimes, Bill, I know people that are around in somebody's area. Sometimes I know, so I wouldn't charge you to give you a referral like that.
Yeah.
And then I tell people that there's got to be a sport out there that you would enjoy to do with your dog, but just to when I got started, and I'll say this, when I got started with dog sports and started with learning different dog sports and going, I never told any of those people that I owned a training business or I was a professional trainer or any of that. And I would sign up for the class, and whatever it was that they were doing, agree with it, not agree with it, I just hung in there with it. And hell, well, I'll give it a shot because, it wasn't any big deal. I had a great dog. He had basic training, so I wasn't scared that I was going to ruin him. So it's like, yeah, well, if that's what you're doing and you were successful, because all of my mentors I picked were successful in their sports. So,
Right.
If you're successful, hell, I'm willing to give it a shot. And that was instructive for me to learn all kinds of things. And so if you're running a training business and you want to go to somebody else's class that's teaching a sport, you don't have to show up there in your big van with your big business wrap and your big trainer T-shirt. And I never did any of that. I just went in as Joe. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Can you show me person? And I didn't have to argue with them about how I know better than them how to do this, because obviously at the time I hadn't won any world championships in agility or frisbee or dock diving or any of that. I want to learn what you know. So I approached learning new sports as one of those things you just go with your hat in your hand and see what they can teach you. And that's what I did. And I've learned so many kinds of ways to train a dog now in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And have enjoyed myself. And you just don't get in that confrontation with people when you go in like that. And you may learn something, or you may learn what you don't want to do, or you may learn what it feels like to be a student.
Yeah.
And maybe how you don't want to treat your students, or maybe how you do want to treat your students because you've got a special instructor that you like and you like the way that they treat you. So it's instructive all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and not only dog training too, but like I do yoga or anything else that might, that might interest you. Take it with a kind of observer role, and just how does this feel, and take anything that you can to apply that will help you communicate better. But get out there and do it.
Get out there and do it. Learn some stuff. The best thing I ever did was, kick my fear of comfort zones. I'll try just about anything. And really, when I first started with my dogs, trying to compete with my dogs, I just had terrible, terrible anxiety about doing anything with my dogs in front of people. Just terrible anxiety. I would sweat and tunnel vision, and the hairs on the back of my neck would stand up, and I would forget what I was supposed to be doing, and my throat would be dry, and I'd be stuttering and stammering, and just a wreck. But over the course of doing it, really screwing up, really embarrassing yourself, really feeling like a turd.
Seeing others do the same thing.
Eventually, if you do it enough, you get over it.
That's right.
For me, it was kind of trial by fire for a while, but after a while, I got over it. I developed friends outside the ring who were supportive and who laughed at the right moments, and then we all learned how to laugh at ourselves, because I wasn't the only one messing up. Well, others were messing up too. So camaraderie helps that too. But it was good for me. It was good for me to learn how to be a competitor, to learn how to be prepared, and to learn how to go in that ring and be confident and not fall apart.
Well, and realize at the end of the day, this is just for fun and to build the relationship with your dog, man. And that's it, to learn each other better, right?
To learn better.
And
that's
to
right.
learn yourself better, and to learn other people better, Learning is the answer. What's the question?
Learning is fundamental.
That's right. Well, Cyndy, thank you very much. I know we're coming on just over an hour and a half, so I'm gonna sign off with you here. But
it's time for my supper.
we can still go on. I know, but it's just
Yeah. We'll have to do it again then.
yeah. We'll do it again, sure. And I look forward to hanging out with you again. I look forward to seeing you
I love seeing you at conferences.
yeah.
You're great.
Oh, look at who.
This is Dawson. An hour and a half can't go by without me getting kissed.
There you go. Who is this?
This is Dawson.
That's Dawson. Okay.
Yeah, that's Dawson.
Well, hold on one second, Cyndy. Stay there, but we'll say goodbye to everybody here. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. It was fun.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you.
Thank you.
See you next time.